Hi, welcome to Ask Ms. Mears, where we answer your most burning questions and solve your most nagging problems. I may not know all the answers, but I'll know someone who will. History shows us that many great businesses sprang forth out of the toughest of times, for which this pandemic undoubtedly qualifies. Today's guest will teach us how to look for hidden yet lucrative opportunities within this dire crisis and hopefully give us that much needed kick in the butt to stop waffling and just get started already. The CEO of the 10-year-old Mercato Centrale food market and food business incubator is an award-winning SME leader and mentor, as well as an award-winning MC, best-selling author, columnist, and the consul of Monaco to the Philippines. Please welcome RJ Ledesma.
On the front screen. There I am.
Hi. Hi,
Mirza. Hi, Mirza. Thanks so
Welcome
much for having me. It's quite a pleasure. And you know what? I don't know. I've said this on my Facebook post when I was promoting this one, but I've always looked up to Mirza both literally and figuratively. Somebody whom you very much respect in the publishing industry.
Wow.
Many tasteful years ago, I used to write for the Philippine Star. At the same time, I was also an editor-in-chief, but for another publication, not the same as hers. But of course, Mirza is also very highly respected in the industry, so it's always a pleasure that finally I have a chance to be side by side with her rather than me looking up, me looking to the side, or looking to the side of where she is. Oh.
Thank you so much. We're so excited to talk to you today. I couldn't include in the introduction all your many credentials, so many awards.
Yeah.
RJ is an Agora Awardee for Excellence in Entrepreneurship, an Accredited GoNegosyo Mentor, several awards from the Asia CEO Awards.
Oh, thank you.
The ASEAN Business Awards, and the First Mansmith Innovation Awards. He's also co-founder of EnterPH, a market entry consulting firm for foreign offshoring and outsourcing businesses, and Easy Franchise, an online franchise marketplace that connects franchisors and franchisees. Woo! So many.
Pang resume padding lang yan. Yes. Pang resume padding lang yan. It's just, kumbaga, I just tell people it's really just a sign of what I am as a person, which is a serial, it's like a serial entrepreneur, right? Where you like for one, the hosting job that I do is that's my laway capital. Right.
Okay.
But the laway capital helps me create my own businesses. Now, like for example, I do a show on Bloomberg Philippines and one news called Bright Ideas, and on that show Bright Ideas, all I do is I talk to tech startup companies, and I've been doing it for the past 3 years. But I have to say, I've been hosting for many years, but the show that has had the most impact on me doing business is Bright Ideas, because I've talked to so many of these startup companies. I start understanding their DNA and their success practice, their successful best practices, and I was able to create businesses because I learned so much from here. And I also do another show called it's called Philippine Realty TV on CNN Philippines, and I get to see what successful developers do, and I combine that also with what I learned from Bright Ideas. And right now I work with a company called Filipino Homes. Which is a company which is basically disrupting the real estate marketing industry. So I mean, it's great. These are all things which you as an entrepreneur, you take a step back, you realize that things might seem so disparate when you're hosting or doing these other things, but actually the job of the entrepreneur is to kind of put that all together in his head and create a new business model out of that one.
It's amazing how you've intertwined all your revenue streams and how somehow one feeds off on the other. How about your wedding hosting business?
So I still continue. Well, obviously, right now we haven't been doing wedding hosting, and I often tell during this crisis, what I've been telling, we have actually a group of wedding hosts, is that I need you guys to tell yourselves that you are not wedding hosts, but rather that you are hosts, and that you are a versatile host who can host different types of events. And I say this one because I tell people my background. Mirza, before doing hosting and all these different things, was I was a brand manager for a multinational company.
Okay.
I worked for Procter and Gamble, and really, what they talk about when they build brands like Safeguard or Ivory or Pantene is that they're building what they call brand equity. What does the brand stand for in the minds of consumers? And I took this lesson from marketing and applied it to all the different things that I do. In fact, I even applied it to my hosting career. So, like for hosting, for example, I tell people, okay, the image I want to build as a host is that number one, I'm animated, witty, can think on his feet, and versatile. I mean, so when people think of that, and has a business background, so whenever they think of a host who they need for business, they'll probably get me, who can think on his feet. So I don't need, let's say, for example, people to feed me information. I can ask questions by myself.
Right.
Animated because business hosting can be boring, right? But I make it a bit more lively, so people get me. But I'm also very versatile, which means that it works for me being also in the weddings because I'm also very animated and witty, and people like that sort of background. So I built up that brand equity, that image of what I want people to have in my mind when they hire me, so they know what to get. And so I host a lot of weddings, and this is the interesting thing about hosting a lot of weddings. Weddings is nice because it helps me connect with people, and it's a skill set that you learn of how to put people at ease. But more importantly, from all these weddings that I've been hosting, I've actually got business partners.
I'm sure.
In my other businesses. So I very soon I'll have an app coming out for Mercato, which helps a lot of small food businesses grow. And my partner in the app is basically somebody whose wedding I hosted in Baguio. So we had a little time to talk together. He said, RJ, this is brilliant. And he started seeing my whole business background. He saw I could work well with people. So he said, I'm going to partner up with you. And so, it's always these networks lead to bigger things. I think that's the more important thing, that nothing ever goes to waste when you do business, as long as you have that mind of saying what's the bigger picture of what I'm doing, and things will start to emerge.
Right, you were building brand new long before it was in vogue, and all these lessons in the entrepreneurial mindset actually began when you were still a child, right?
Yeah, how did you know? Yeah, my parents. My dad is a what I call a serial entrepreneur. He's had many businesses as well. He's done. I don't know if you remember Sonic's video services. That used to be a rental. They used to rent Betamax tapes and Laserdiscs and VHS. So even as a young boy, I was exposed to entrepreneurship, and they went into prawn farming, encyclopedia selling, and finally into real estate development, which is the key business that my dad was doing as of late. No, so even as a young boy, I was trained to think like an entrepreneur, and I kind of carried this even to up to now. And I'm also a serial entrepreneur like my dad, but it's really right now. I think we've just taken different frameworks or different methodologies on how to think about entrepreneurship, and that's really what I'd like to share with you and the people listening right now to your show.
Right. What were some of your early ventures when you were a child or a teenager? Were you always that kid who was selling something in school?
Well, my parents used to make me, when I was younger, they would make me sell in their video. I mean, I'd have to be there in the video rental
in the store.
Yeah, then they would have consigned items that they would make me sell for them there as well. And then obviously, I think in our generation knows, diba? The younger ones, ONCE ones, know that I was the model for Royal True Orange, because if you knew Royal, there's a generation gap. It's only people beyond a specific age group who know that I was the Royal True Orange model, not Liza Soberano, but it was me. And then the thing is, the younger generation might know me as the guy who taught them math in Math Tinik, because I was actually the host for Math Tinik. So there's actually a generation gap over there. So yeah, even as a young boy, I was trained there, and it's good because I had a taste of being an entrepreneur earlier on. I remember my dad when I was in college, I was asking, should I take commercial arts? Should I take media? Or should I take business? He said, why work for the studio when you can own the studio? I mean, so really he had sort of like an entrepreneurial mindset when it came to doing things. And I've had many businesses which have which are trial and error, until I finally realized what would be my methodology to putting up a business. Like, for example, many years ago, I actually had a TV show called The Men's Room, which came out in Studio 23 together
Right.
with
I remember
Tim
that.
Aya. Yeah, and I produced that show myself. Me and Tim kind of co-produced the show. And before getting married, it was fun to do all these different businesses. Then you realize all of a sudden, okay, now you got to make money for the family. And then your sort of your business methodology and your entrepreneurial methodology change. And over the years, I've realized, I became a serial entrepreneur, started developing businesses, which I realized would be businesses which I think where I have a certain philosophy where they're supposed to be long-term, scalable, and solving problems. And this is basically the three kinds of businesses which I put up right now are based on this sort of entrepreneurial philosophy, which is about which I call the entrep mindset, or the entrepreneurial mindset. So many of the talks I've been doing recently is about how to invest in the what we call the entrepreneurial mindset. Would you like me to talk about that?
Right. Yeah, sure. First of all, speaking of making money, which we all need to do given the circumstances, why is it actually a good time to start a business?
Okay. But it's good. That's a good idea. Remember, let me just take you back that many businesses that were formed right now, or many of the successful businesses which we know right now, were actually formed during crisis situations, right? So sometimes crisis is the best time for a business to be created. Why? Because crisis is what we call in business an irritation or a pain point, right? And your job as an entrepreneur is to solve a pain point or to solve a problem. You look back, okay, in the 2008 U.S. economic crisis, what were the businesses which were formed at the time because there was a pain point of a recession in the States? What were formed were things like Groupon, WhatsApp, Airbnb, Uber. Businesses grew out of that crisis, diba? And if you also look here in the Philippines, from 2008 to 2010, that's when our BPO industry grew the fastest. You know why? Because in the States, they were problematic. They couldn't run their businesses there. So they needed to find other countries where they could outsource parts of their business to, which were much cheaper to do business in than having it done in the States. So all these businesses moved their non-essential services like answering calls, maybe some back office work like legal or accounting, and sent it here to the Philippines because it was a time of crisis. So that's just an analogy. And if you ask me, why is it now the best time to do business or to put up a new business? It's because there's a crisis. And there's a Chinese character which is called Wei Qi. And Wei Qi basically it means that even in crisis, there is an opportunity. And that's really how entrepreneurs look at things. So look at things, that in every crisis, there is an opportunity. And that really goes back to what I call the entrepreneurial mindset. Let me just explain a bit more about this entrepreneurial mindset, Mirza, and how it all links together with how in crisis it's the best time to do business. Diba? So when you talk about the entrepreneurial mindset, it just means that it's a new way of looking at things. It's always looking at things with opportunities or looking at things with new value creation, new businesses, new processes. It's a way of thinking about things. So for example, I often compare the entrepreneurial mindset like wearing a pair of glasses, So let's say I took off my pair of glasses right now and I traveled somewhere, like I traveled to Thailand. And when I went, I forgot my glasses at home. So if I went to visit the tourist sites, I probably couldn't see things with clarity or with sharpness because I forgot my glasses. But all of a sudden, if I do wear my pair of glasses, things come into focus. Things are much sharper. I can appreciate things much better. It's the same thing when you are an entrepreneur. You wear your entrepreneurial set of glasses or lens. So let's say I got into this crisis, into this pandemic, without wearing this pair of glasses. I'd be very scared, obviously, because businesses have shut down. It's ECQ, and at the same time, there's been social distancing. Offices are closed, businesses are shut down. I'd be worried. But all of a sudden, if you start wearing your entrepreneurial lens, you start seeing things with opportunities. You're saying, okay, so this is what's happening. So instead of wearing it like an average person, I'm seeing the situation from an entrepreneurial perspective where I see, okay, what's the opportunity where I can help solve the problems when it comes to social distancing? What are the problems which I can now solve when it comes to the idea of ECQ. What can I do to help my customer during this time? So the mindset completely changes. And that's really what the entrepreneurial mindset is all about, that you're always looking for opportunities which exist in the environment. You said earlier on that I'm actually an accredited mentor for GoNegosyo. And one of the things which we do as GoNegosyo mentors is that we actually, and I know your mother-in-law, and I think even your husband and siblings have been GoNegosyo mentors as well.
Right,
And we've sat in the same forums where we mentor people. And I've had a chance to actually travel with GoNegosyo, their Kapatid Mentor Me programs, to the provinces, to Bicol, to Batangas, to Bataan. And oftentimes there's one similar question that many of these people come to us to ask. And that question which they often ask us is, sir, anong magandang negosyo itayo? What's a good business to put up? And when people often ask us these questions, what I tell them is that you might not be starting off on the right foot if the first question you want to ask me is, what business should I set up? Why? It means that in your mind that you might have seen another business that you just might want to copy and make your own, right? That's how often people start off. Oh, maganda yung ube cheese pandesal.
Right.
Yung dark kuchinta. Maganda yung sushi bake. So, gagayahin mo lang. But
bandwagon.
The bandwagon is the Philippine. It's the lechon manok mentality, right? Or the pearl tea shakes, diba? Kung may magandang negosyo, gagayahin mo lang. But you know what? Your success will be short-lived because it will be as short-lived as you'll be successful only until another one opens right beside you, right? I know a good friend from the restaurant business who told me that, if I can copy your business at home, let's say, for example, you're doing it right now, and I can go home and buy some ingredients and create the same thing that you're doing, then that's not a good business to get into, right? Because it's something which you can easily copy. Those are not the type of businesses which you want to get into, unless you've got something that you can add to it that nobody else can do. And that's really when the start of entrepreneurship. So the question that you want to ask yourself at this point is this one. You don't ask yourself what's a nice business to get into, or what business should I start, no? The question that you should start asking yourself is this one. And this is exactly the same question that you get asked that many startup companies, like on my show, Bright Ideas, there are many tech startup companies, and they ask money from big investors from abroad. They're called venture capitalists, right? Or angel investors. And then the first question which they get asked by all these investors is this one. They ask them, what problem is your business trying to solve? And if there's anything that you take away from this discussion right now, is that you need to ask yourself, what problem is your business trying to solve? Because in business, if you think about it, diba, these are called pain points. Pain points are just irritations, diba? You want to turn your irritations into an inspiration for doing a business. You want to turn your pain points into a business opportunity. You see, Mirza, because if something irritates me, it probably irritates you as well. And if I'm able to solve that irritation, then that's where I make money. I mean, that's how I see things, right? So, for example, if you look at my business, which was Mercato Centrale before, you ask people, that's a business that was born out of an irritation turned to an inspiration. I like for yourself, when we were still in the publishing industry, we would often get sent to do media tours abroad, right? And you'd have to write about these other countries. And oftentimes, I would get sent, when you get sent abroad to Taiwan, to Thailand, to Singapore. Whenever we get sent abroad, the first place that they would bring us to would be to a night food market, especially here in Asia. And I was torn every time I went to these night food markets, because I always thought to myself, parang, why are these night food markets so popular in these other countries where you get to meet, the locals and the foreigners converge? It's a safe, hygienic environment. It's a tourist attraction. How come we don't have the same equivalent of a tourist attraction here in the Philippines? But on top of that one, these night food markets are really good because these are people who are night consumers, right? It's very hot. We're a tropical country. It's very hot. People eat late at night. Here in the Philippines, we have that. Plus, we have a booming BPO industry where people eat at 11 p.m. at night. And if they eat at 11 p.m. at night and they've maybe their budget to eat is about 120 pesos, 150 pesos, where would it be best for them? Where would they want to put their money to buy food? Would they want to put their money to buy food in a convenience store and buy their fried chicken over there, which might have been a day old or made in batches? Or would you rather go to a freshly cooked, authentically made night food market where the food is piping hot and you can enjoy the food, and it's made with love by the stall owner, right? I mean, it's no contest. You go to the night food market, and that's really where the idea was solved, diba? So the first question you want to ask yourself is, what problem am I trying to solve?
So if we put ourselves in the current situation, what are some of the irritations or pain points that are ongoing now where we might look for opportunities?
Well, number one, let's take a look. I mean, the most obvious ones, because of delivery became such a big thing because, and that's one thing where the opportunity lies. It's because of the ECQ, people have gone online. Now, because people have gone online, what are the several opportunities you can do over there? It's online ordering, e-commerce, delivery platforms, all of these things where you're able to put them together. Logistics. You think about, should you do it yourself? Should you have somebody else do it for you? And the other thing is, what are the other allied industries which do that? So, for example, Mirza, we come from the creative industry, the publishing industry, and people ABS many of them just lost their jobs. But what is the opportunity right now? That because of you recall at the height of the crisis that everybody was online in hyper-local markets like Viber, and all of a sudden, with everybody being there, how do you stand out, right? It's very difficult to stand out right now. And how do you stand out? Maybe the best way to stand out right now is you've got to have really great video and audio and photo materials to really stand out. And so you apply what you know from outside the industry and bring it into the food industry to make that sort of thing stand out. And people are willing to pay you for those services there as well. So that's number one. So number one, of course, bring your business online. I think that's a foregone conclusion, particularly.
Yeah, it's a given.
It's a given. Digitalization, e-commerce, delivery. These are the type of things that you want to take a look at. Or what's another pain point? People are really looking at their health, or let's say right now, if you're doing services, how do you convert your services online? If you were a tutor, if you taught, if you were a coach, or these different things, how do you now translate these services to coming online? And how do you monetize these things as well? So that's an interesting thing as well, because I'm sure there's people demanding right now, how do I work out at home? Who can make me bantay? Is there a way to do it properly? How can you formalize that one? Because I know for you work out every day. So, and I'm sure you still like having your coach. But how do you do it right now that you're home? And how can you monitor you? How do you know that you're improving? And I'm sure you're proud. If you experience that, I'm sure other people are also experiencing the same thing. So that's it. That's the other one. How do you bring these services online, diba? How do you translate them? It's still an irritation that needs to be turned into an inspiration. What are the other things? Let's take a look at health. Health is a big thing right now. Immunity building things and health are a big thing right now. What can we do in terms of products and services that can be delivered that can boost people's immunity? Do we create food? Do we create services? Do we create supplements which we can create in this environment where people can get? Can we do a subscription package where people can get something? How about if you look at the senior citizens who cannot leave their homes, and also the young kids who cannot leave their homes? There are so many. There's like a plethora of services which we can offer them. I'm sure that many of these old people don't like going online to order on Facebook or whatever platform or website. They just want to do calls. Can we create something for them? Can we create special ways to deliver to them, to market to them, and especially for the young kids as well? Can we do that? Can we do that one? So the bigger message I want to communicate is that there's actually a lot of irritations out there, but you have to take a step back and look at what they are. It's just that tayo mga Pinoy, we're so manhid na, we're so thick-skinned when it comes to looking at these things, because we're just saying parang, you complain, di ba? I want to leave the country. These are just, daming problema. Ayoko, gusto mag-migrate na sa ibang bansa, di ba? So that's how people think of it. But there are people who think the other way. They think that there are foreigners or Philips saying, hoy, ang dami palang opportunity sa Pilipinas because there's so many problems to solve. And what are these problems? Financial inclusion, insurance, food security, logistics, remittance. There are so many problems which they can come here to solve. So that's the way that we've got to think about these things. For example, there's a company called Maria Health. Maria Health it's health insurance, prepaid health insurance. So what you can do is, if you think of prepaid cards, they said, let's borrow the business model from another industry. That's one way of innovating. You look at what they're doing in other industries and you say, oh, that's great. How do I bring it over here? It takes too much of. Wait, I'll get back to you, Birdie. Imami konti kasi
Yes.
let's take his comment out first. But Birdie, I'd love to answer your component as well, no? So let's slide down the comment for a bit. But let me just discuss Maria Health, no? Let's say for Maria Health, they took the business model number one of prepaid cards, right? And insurance. So they saw the problem Filipinos can't get insurance. Many Filipinos can't afford year-long insurance. And number two, they were looking also at the model of prepaid cards. So what did they say? Why don't we develop prepaid health insurance cards? And that's what they started to. That's what they started to do. They would aggregate different insurance companies to create prepaid health insurance cards and then sell that to people so that more people could access health insurance on a prepaid basis. But you know what? This prepaid health insurance, Maria Health, was not thought of by a Filipino, but rather by a Chinese American guy who came to the Philippines looking for an opportunity, and he saw that one. There's another company which did the same thing. It's called Pawn Hero. This is thought of by a German expatriate. He came over here to the Philippines, and when he looked around, and he said, how come in the Philippines there are so many pawn shops here which offer such horrendous high interest rates but such low appraisal costs? Diba? Sabi niya, what if I can flip the model and just have one big warehouse where all you just do is just send in a photo of the item that you want to pawn, and I'll give you better appraisal rates and lower interest rates. And that's what he did. He created an app called Pawn Hero.
It really entails flipping your paradigm and really looking on the bright side.
This not the bright side, saying that the problem is the bright side for you.
Right. The problem is the bright side. So instead of compiling irritations and just stewing in your irritations, look for the opportunities.
Yeah, look at the irritation, saying what can you do to fix it up, right? I mean, during this crisis, there were two types of people who were irritated or desperate about the crisis, and there are people who said, okay, I'm irritated. So the thing is, I gotta change my business model. I gotta pivot. But I mean, the words become so gas na during this time. It's called pivoting your business model. But basically, that's what we do as entrepreneurs, right? Your job is always to look at what problem am I trying to solve moving forward.
Right. What if the market is already saturated? How can you differentiate your product? Which brings us to number two.
Number two, what makes your product unique and innovative? And by the way, I just want to say hi to the founder of Bounce Back Philippines, listening to us here right now, Jason De La Rosa. He's also got a great book called The Practical Entrepreneur. I suggest people pick it up. And we've been working together. We've been working together to help a lot of entrepreneurs put things together. Yeah, thanks, Jason. Very kind words. Very sharp. Because I work with you, so I mean, if there's any, you know what? I think during this time, many of our minds, coming entrepreneurs, have gotten so sharp just because every day we've had to pivot our business and change it and make it different. Even Jason, every day we've been pivoting. Nahihilo kami sa pivot. Parang seesaw yan, di ba? So it's like nahihilo kami sa pivot. Yeah, exactly. Yan yung feeling namin. So that's the next point. So what makes something unique and innovative? So that's the next point, di ba? First, you figure out a problem that you want to solve. And the next thing is that you always talk about what's going to make that product a bit more unique and innovative versus other products. So you solve a problem, but you just don't solve it, diba? You've got to figure out a way that the way that you solve it is some way that somebody else cannot solve it in the same way. That it's only you who can solve it in that particular way. And that's actually combined, Mirza, with point number 3. If you can flash it here right now, so I can explain to them. Because they kind of go hand in hand. What makes it unique and innovative, and what is your secret sauce? That's what you often tell people, diba? If let's take a look at KFC, right? Okay, KFC. You want to solve the problem of hunger, right? So you get people and fast. So you go to KFC. You get fried chicken, which is fast food. But what makes you want to eat in KFC? It's their 11 secret herbs and spices, right? So there's something that they can do specifically that not other people can do. So you go to them. For me, that's a secret sauce or the secret ingredient. For example, take a look at soft drinks. Let's say, why do you drink Coke? Coke satisfies your thirst. what makes it unique and innovative is its formulation. It's got it's a secret sauce, it's secret ingredients which make it effervescent, which make it taste like Coca-Cola. So the same thing, like for example, it's not just when you do secret sauce. I'm not just referring to it being, for example, it's not just ingredients. It's a process which only you can do. It's a network of people only you have that not other people can have. In other words, it shouldn't be something that's easily duplicable or easily copied by other people. And that's really how you start to create, a difference between them. Like I see all these people right now coming up with milk tea, with milk tea variants. They're coming up left and right with that one. And I haven't really seen somebody who's really been able to step out of that one, because maybe they can say, I found that from milk teas is that Pinoy's like indulgent milk teas. That's why they like it creamy, super rich. But they also want it. Then you want to, if you want to make it different, make it diet, but it tastes the same. I mean, that can be a difference, right? It's not as calorie driven as you want it to be. But that could be one thing, or it's a health or immune boosting milk tea right now that makes you stronger every time that you drink it, because you've got special batch of ingredients inside that milk tea, which make it stronger. A probiotic, yeah. Or let's say, for example, you do it's a service that you're offering, right? If it's a service, let's say, for example, my business is called EnterPH. We help foreign businesses offshore or outsource to the Philippines. Can anybody offer that, right? The question right now is, am I solving a problem? Yes, I'm solving a problem, right? Because for EnterPH, we want foreign businesses to do business here. They have a pain point. They want to come to the Philippines, but they don't want to deal with the bureaucracy, right? With the red tape, with putting up a business. So they engage somebody who can do that for them. But let's say, for example, if you look at it, it's too expensive to avail of the services of a big law firm, let's say, to do that one. So the small and medium scale enterprises from abroad, they go to us. And what is that's a unique and innovative advantage. They can go to us because we can do it for their size. But more than that, when we've got our unique set of skill sets to be able to set up a business. Me, I work a lot with government and with the entrepreneurial world, and and I've got of connections, networks within the different business organizations where I can help them out. And my other partner has had 10 years worth of experience helping foreign companies come over here. So that's like our secret sauce when it comes to business. For example, Mirza, if I was to talk about you, I mean, you and your husband are great because you can do. If I was to use your service as somebody who writes and who does content, you're the best for restaurant because you understand things that other people cannot understand about publishing, but you also understand things about the food industry which not other people can pick up because that's your background. And when you put that together, you can offer that one because it's something specific that not other people can easily copy, right? If you were to offer your service to them, because you have a network and you have an understanding of the business, and you're able to put media and food together in a way that other people can't. And that's basically what I do with my own services, right? I do these outsourcing because I can do it in a way that no other person can.
So maybe we all have that secret sauce within us. It just is a matter of looking inwards to see what we can offer.
Yeah, it's defining which one you want to get. I mean, I didn't realize, like, for example, me as a host, diba? My secret, I mean, people need hosts. What makes you unique and innovative is also like sort of like what's my secret sauce is like my innate knowledge of doing business, my ability to, I guess, maybe ad lib. I mean, these things I don't, when people often ask me, how do you pull it off? Sometimes it seems like you're so knowledgeable about these things. Because that's all stock. It's all stock knowledge, and doing a format like hosting, there's already a format in my head. I don't have to really prepare a script because in my head it's already structured in such a way that I can do that. So, and what makes you unique and innovative is because not all hosts host the same way that I do. If people are looking for a host who's animated but can do business, they go here. So you have a different advantage. And I know a couple of weeks ago you've had Isa as well, right? Who's my fellow host. Yes. She's a very good host, and she's very good, especially for great lifestyle events, because she's the same thing. She's sharp, she's witty, she's animated, but then she's good for a lifestyle event. I probably won't be the best one for a makeup event, for a fashion event, and Isa would be perfect for that one. The same way that it's an event that's really highly technical and comes talking about marketing or or a specific industry, and they need somebody who's knowledgeable, who can understand, but at the same time is somebody who can relate to the audience, and they probably might get me. I mean, so that's how things work. You just establish your sort of niche.
When is it not okay though to jump on the bandwagon when the demand is so high? That's all the ube cheese pandesals. Yeah. Everyone needs masks. Everyone needs all the gadgets now. Everyone's selling ring lights and
I guess the thing. So parang pag ganyan, it's great. It's buy and sell, right? It's really an arbitrage business, and nobody can fault you. Right. You're still solving an opportunity, I guess, And it's good to do business like that. I'm not saying that it's wrong. It's really that it's a learning process, right? Doing business is a learning process. So you go, okay, I'll do arbitrage, I'll do buy and sell. But is it going to be, and that's going to be my part 4, my next point there, diba? Is it going to be a business that is scalable and repeatable? Is it long-term and sustainable for you? Like I was telling people at the start, during the start of this pandemic, they were selling face N95 masks. They were selling nitrile gloves. They were doing PPEs. And at that point in time, maybe ang taas ng presyo because the demand and supply, the supply chain was not quite there. The demand was there. So the demand was there, but the supply chain wasn't quite there. So mataas yung presyo ng mga items na ganito. So very opportunistic time to be an entrepreneur. You could do opportunistic sales, diba? Because of the great demand, but the supply wasn't there. So it's okay. I mean, that's how it's like. No value judgment on whether or not it's a good opportunistic play or not. Maybe you can eventually evolve, but unless, diba, you're able to evolve yourself to the point that exclusive to you, yung supply na yan, diba? Or that's your secret stuff, diba? Or exclusive network, or you're the fastest to bring it in. Then great. Right. But if you're just a reseller, how long can you maintain that advantage over other people, right? Or for example, let's take a look at the ube cheese pandesal phenomenon, diba? When it exploded, that was your next type of milk tea experience, yung ube cheese pandesal. Before everything else, Mirza, I just want to greet. She's here right now listening to me, my wife, Vanessa. She says, hi, sabi
Vanessa.
Vanessa, we're going live right there.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. We're all on Zoom calls here right now. So she was just listening in to see if everything I'm saying is vetted by her already or not.
Wow.
Yung ultimate boss ko. Anyway, so like, let's say
she's her secret sauce.
Yeah, she's my secret sauce. That's she's my secret sauce over there. So for the ube cheese pandesal, so let's just say, you can start off, okay, lahat kayo gumagawa ng ube cheese pandesal. Kung gagayahin mo lang yung next ube cheese pandesal, hindi ka talaga aangat, di ba? You won't be, unless you've got different ways, ube cheese pandesal. Unique and innovative, baka ube cheese pandesal from Good Shepherd, or you make your own ube cheese pandesal. I mean, there's something that you have a special ingredient or premium ingredients, or let's say it's ube outside, but cheese inside. There's cheese inside, and your cheese is mozzarella or salted egg. I mean, where the skill needed to develop it is not as easy as expected, diba? You can make it this super premium that nobody else can copy it, or super cheap but yummy, diba?
Kind of what like Chef Sal Del Rosario is doing.
Exactly, you can do what Chef is doing with the buko pie, diba? With the buko pie, diba?
And the hag pie.
And you can't easily do it, diba? I mean, that's another level of entrepreneurship, diba? So parang, okay, it's a common product, but what makes it unique and innovative that you can only do it? Chef Sala may skill set na gawin na parang ganyan yung buko pie niya, diba? Or kung gagawa siya ng ube cheese pandesal, bibili ako sa kanya because yung secret sauce niya is not just the ingredients, but it's the skill set, diba? The skill set is not something that you can easily emulate and recreate, diba? So it's one thing. So during this crisis, it's okay to be these days because baka you're learning also at the same time your business.
Right.
But the next question, if you really want the business to grow and you want to sustain, is it repeatable and scalable? Meaning, can you do it again and again and again? And can you grow it exponentially? And that's how some entrepreneurs look. Like if you really want to grow the business, you ask yourself, can I do it again and again and again? So sometimes that's why when we look at some businesses, let's say, Mirza, PR is not a scalable and repeatable business, right? You can keep on copying yourself or doing this one, which is fine, right? If some people want that one, that's great. Some people are chefs. Chefs have a really good restaurant. Chef's house got really good food. But it's not easily repeatable and scalable because it's really based on a chef's skill sets, right? So if you really want to grow the business right now, the next question you want to ask yourself is that, what business can I think of that's repeatable and scalable. So it doesn't have to be based on me, on my personality. It can keep on grow because there's a system in place for it to be able to grow, diba? So my best example for this one is like my business partner who's Jose Magsaysay Jomag of Potato Corner. Jomag is a multi-awarded entrepreneur. Very glad that he is now my co-partner here in Mercato Central. And I've learned a lot about resilience from him when it becomes an entrepreneur. Let me just go back and tell you a bit more about his story. Jomag started out, his dad passed away before he entered college, and he was really the breadwinner of the family. So he had to really work, and he worked his way up from Wendy's, from mopping the toilets in Wendy's until becoming the cashier, until becoming the manager of Wendy's. And eventually, he became the general manager of Mr. Donut, and eventually he built Potato Corn to the brand that it is today. And you know what? During the 1989 economic crisis, diba? During the time maraming coup. Remember the time, Mirza? Really bad time for us here in the country. That the business actually, but I think the business, he had like 140 franchisees. It dropped down to 40. But you see, he learned so much from that crisis that he was able to, when he rebuilt the business, he regrew it again. He built it to about 2,000 plus franchises right before the pandemic, because he became somebody who built that entrepreneurial resiliency. And then during this crisis, all of a sudden, many of his branches could not open up. What did he do? Did he just sit down and say, I can't do anything? No, because he had built that entrepreneurial resilience muscle in his mind and more importantly here in his heart, that he said, okay, I can't do it physically. Let's instead make our Potato Corner an army of resellers. So instead of having these franchisees sell, especially if they were closed, they could not open up, they could become resellers of Potato Corner. They could sell in their bags, right? They could sell Potato Corner to continue, of course, the recognition that the brand is out there, to make sure that they're out here right now. So that sort of pivot is what you need to do. That's entrepreneurial thinking at work. And you know what? He didn't sit down and say, what a big problem. What do I do? He said, okay, what's the opportunity right now? Let me take a look at the landscape. What do I do? How do I change right now to fix up in this situation? Now, having said that one, let's go back to why it makes it scalable and repeatable. I mean, so you can go back to the previous one, scalable and repeatable. What do I mean by that one? Take a look at Potato Corner. How easy is it for you to put up a Potato Corner stand? And look at the technology which they're using, right? Basically, if you've got your fryers, you fry it. After you fry it and it's done, you put it inside that plastic container. You put inside the fries. You put inside the flavor. You cover it. Ano technology nila? They just shake it, right? They shake it and they serve it to you. It's yummy fries, hot. That was basically what Potato Corner is. And it's immensely scalable, meaning you can keep on repeating that again and again and again. And look at how many, they've got 2,000 plus branches here in the Philippines. You know how hard it is to get a Potato Corner franchise? Sometimes it takes 6 months because it's almost in every corner already. Right. So you have to actually literally go to them and say, hi, I have a spot over here. Can I get a Potato Corner in this spot? And that's what I'm talking about, of a business that is repeatable and scalable. Whenever you put up a business, that's what you always have to step back and think. And even I have that problem. I mean, it's not something that occurs to you at the very start, that if your business will be repeatable and scalable. Sometimes you've got to step back and think about it again and again and again until you get it right. Until you get it right. Because for my own businesses, I'm always thinking, how do I make my business repeatable and scalable? How do I do that for Mercato? How do I do that for EnterPH? How do I do that for Easy Franchise?
Right. And this muscle that you speak about, it also takes a lot of failing, right? And you've often talked about not being afraid to fail. Can you tell us more about that?
Failure is part of your investment in entrepreneurship. I mean, everywhere. That's where it has to be. And I've failed in many businesses in the past, and I'm not ashamed to say this one. Of course, siyempre Pinoy, diba? Sometimes, Pinoys, I just realized something about Filipinos. They want you, parang, if you fail, they want you to feel it. Parang, they want you should feel bad about failing.
Crab mentality talaga. Parang, si RJ, nagtayo na naman ng business.
Fail yan. So, they want you to feel bad. It's not good anymore. And I just realized, okay, you can fail in business. That doesn't mean that you fail in life. I mean, it goes on. Because I remember, this is very clear to me. In Globe My Business, I was an ambassador for Globe My Business. And I had put up a Mercato Central in Cagayan de Oro. I mean, quite an achievement. From Manila, I put up in Cagayan de Oro, and we had to run the business over there. And eventually it didn't do too well, so it closed down. And somebody put there on the Globe, my business site, why did you get RJ to be the ambassador if his business failed in Cagayan de Oro? And I realized that this is the person who's never become an entrepreneur in his life. Because any great entrepreneur I know wears his failure like a badge of honor. In Japsia of Mang Inasal, Double Dragon, Mary Martha's failed. Dennis Oy of Uden has failed. Joe Mag has failed many, many times, diba? I've opened up 15, 16 Mercato Centrales in the past, markets in the past, and many of them have actually haven't done well. So you kept 1 to 2 to 3. But the point is that every time it fails, okay, it failed. Sometimes iyak ka na konti, you lost a bit of money. But the thing is, guess what? It makes your current businesses even stronger because you've learned from your failure and you're able to use that as a way to get better at the way that how you're able to do business. And sometimes that becomes part of the muscle memory na, diba? When you fail, you just, because sometimes when you fail, it also builds a certain resilience in you because these are tough times. If I didn't fail in the past, parang right now, oh, I feel so bad. Look at this crisis. I mean, I remember there's a time when in Mercato that we had just finished paying off our tent, and because of strong rain, our tent collapsed. And it was like, we spent a lot of money just to pay that off, but I had to continue running the market. And because I had people relying on me and I had clients relying on me, but you just do it because that's part of being, that's the sort of resilience that you want to create as an entrepreneur. And kumbaga, failure is your investment in learning. That's how I put it. Failure is investment in learning. It's that you fail fast, you fail forward.
I know so many people now who are so distressed because they've closed their stores, closed their restaurants, closed their businesses. What do you want to say to them?
I mean, kumbaga, let's just live to fight. I mean, I've had to close Mercato Central. And I'll tell you about it in my last part. And that's where we started off, diba? I mean, kumbaga, I like what Joey Concepcion, the presidential advisor for entrepreneurship, said the other day. I mean, sometimes, you just have to just live to fight another day. Diba? I mean, that's really it. Cut your losses, live to fight another day. But I think this is the bigger thing which I picked up, and it really meant a lot to me. There are two things I want to share. The first one is that there was this entrepreneur in the States, and I saw him. Very interesting. He was furiously writing down. He had just closed down his restaurant, but he was fiercely scribbling down plans for his next business ideas or next restaurants. And somebody's wondering, why are you doing all this planning right now? Shouldn't you feel bad? Don't you feel bad? No? Shouldn't you feel bad you just closed down your restaurant? And sabi niya, no, I don't. You know what? It's okay for me to lose my business. What I cannot lose are my entrepreneurial ideas, diba? Okay lang mawala ng negosyo. It's the ideas which are important because that is your heart and soul as an entrepreneur. And these ideas come from your irritations, diba? I mean, so there should be an immense number of ideas kasi ang daming irritations. Di ba, Mirza? That's how I think about it. And the second piece of advice I got was from the COO of Phoenix Petroleum and the family mart. His name is Bong Fadulion. And I like Bongs because we interviewed him on our other show. I do one for my business, Easy Franchise. We have a Facebook Live every Wednesday. So this morning, a couple of months ago, we talked to him. He sabi niya, RJ, you have to do your best right now to try to run your business during the ECQ. Whatever you do, kahit you fail. Bakit? Because iba na yung mundo after this ECQ is done. Don't expect na magsasara ka lang tindahan bago nag-ECQ at magbubukas ka ng tindahan at pareho pa rin yung sitwasyon. No, the world has changed during that time. And if you don't prepare yourself step by step, make the mistakes during the ECQ, during the GCQ, to put up your business, to run your business again, it probably won't be able to run during that time. And I appreciated that advice so much because I went to, as an entrepreneur, me and my wife went through so many struggles during this ECQ. We made so many mistakes, but we had to make those mistakes. And we had to learn because if we were fearful, but if we didn't make those mistakes, if we didn't do those things, we wouldn't be getting to where we are right now in the business. We might not be in the same state that we were before the world began, but it's a new order. So parang nothing to be ashamed about. But if it fails, nothing to be ashamed about. Because it happened. But I guess there was this talk recently sa Ayala Enterprise Circle where entrepreneurs spoke. Si Paco Magsaysay ng Carmen's Best. Ito yung nagustuhan ko eh. I like what he said. He said, we had to close down our original, the first place where Carmen's Best opened up a store, their first store, they had to close it down in Alabang. Siyempre may sentimental value, emotional investment ka dyan. But para sabi niya, wala, we can be emotional because it comes to business. Parang, we had to close it down. We had to close the Mercato. I mean, this is my 10th year of doing business, Mirza. It's my 10-year anniversary. My 10th year, I had to close down my pilot.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. But we had to close down our pilot store, di ba? Because that's what had to happen. But and we had to
Right.
pivot and we had to change our business to conform to the pain points
Right.
of what is the new normal. But
Right.
that's what has to be done. Nothing personal, di
Right.
ba? I can still
Right.
evolve it from there. And what I'm realizing is that because I can see things now from a clearer perspective, I go, okay, now I can do other things that are still related to this business, but I
Right.
don't have to worry about it in the same manner. I mean, it's just adjusting to the new normal. And sometimes you never realize that some of the best business ideas might come during this crisis. Diba?
Right.
The way that
And
you're
you
able to change this business might be during this crisis.
and you have pivoted Mercato, right? You have Mercato Go.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have what else? You have
Oh,
delivery.
that's the last one. Let me go to the last one. Let's move to the last topic here. You have to think about when you put up a business, do you need to pivot? Sometimes your first business idea isn't your best business idea. And that's
Right.
why it's just like exercise your entrepreneurial muscle. Because sometimes the first business, you realize it's not the best. You learn
Right.
from there, then you pivot and you iterate to where the business should be. When Mercato initially started, and you might even remember this, Mirza, we were actually a morning market because we
Right.
wanted to, we were thinking, okay, the pain point we want to address is that number one, maraming mga vendor hindi makapasok sa mga Salcedo Legazpi kasi puno na
Right.
sila. Sabi ko,
Tama.
okay, we can get them. But number two is mainit dyan. So naglagay kami ng aircon. So that's how we started off. But then we realized as the more that we did this business, that there was a natural plateau of the number of people who could join a morning market. So we said, maybe we can shift it to a night market, night food market. And at that time, there was only one night market, which was in Ortigas. So, and we were doing ours in BGC. We weren't sure if there was a market for a night food market. We were just guessing, guesstimate lang yan na baka gumana yung night food market sa BGC. I had a hard time pa recruiting people to come to join me at the night market. I could only get 8 people to join me. Perasahan pa yan. But my night market was the one that brought in 3,000 people during the first night. So we pivoted to becoming a night food market. And then in 2008, I had to pivot again because 2018, because there was this explosion of food parks. Diba? Remember that one? In 2018, 2019, 2017 to 18, there was like so many food parks, hundreds of food parks. How do I compete against all these food parks because I'm just one place? Because food parks were trying to address a pain point of my business, which was that
Right.
I like your market, I like the assortment, but you're only in one place. I can do the same thing every day. So they put it
Right.
up. But what did I do? I looked at the pain points people were experiencing from these food parks, and I said, "What can I do right now?" And I realized that I wasn't a food market. People come to me because I help them incubate their businesses. So I moved from becoming just a night market to become a small food business incubator, where small
Right.
food businesses go to incubate themselves and grow. That's why we developed a Mercato Academy, and we also had para people who could invest in these businesses to grow. So we were just there to get their rent. We were there to help them grow their business, diba? So the mentality changes altogether. And now during this crisis, we had to close down our physical structure, right? Because it's brick and mortar, it's a physical business where people would come in. So what I do next? Since we're all about incubation, I said, okay, we can incubate people in a physical structure, but now I have to innovate. I have to now incubate my vendors online. So we developed a Mercato online delivery where you can order from our different vendors online, and we're still helping them grow, where there's an online ordering system and a delivery system. Because the current delivery apps don't really service home-based or online food vendors, but I do, which is my job, because I'm here about incubating the small food vendors. And that's how we pivoted our business. So again, if people are listening here right now, I'd appreciate it. Please support Mercato Online. You can go to our Facebook page. You can go to our Facebook page, Mercato Central, or I'm going to put it in here, Mirza, right now. Please order from the Mercato Central food vendors. And here's my biggest pitch to everybody listening here right now. If you have a unique and innovative food concept, we would love to carry you on our Mercato online delivery system. What we do is we champion the cause of small food entrepreneurs. If you became a passion chef or a necessity chef during this time, we're glad to carry you online. We're glad to market your product. We're glad to deliver your product. We don't charge the same margins that the food delivery apps do. So feel free to join us over here on Mercato Central.
Wow, that's great news. So what are the biggest fears that Pinoys have in already, I'm sure they've like germinated ideas in their mind, but I'm sure they're also debilitated by so many fears. What are some of the common fears?
Always
And
lack of money. Always lack of money, lack of failure.
well, of course.
And I guess, for the business, the thing is, the more that you do it, the more that you become, you really fail along the way. But the thing is,
Right.
the thing about the entrepreneur is if you want to be the good entrepreneur, you got to be humble about it, diba? I often tell people, what I think is like important for hosting, diba? Mirsha, I mean, to be modest about it, I am a Hall of Famer for Aliw Awards. I am a
Right.
three-time Hall of Fame awardee. Yeah, three-time Hall of Fame awardee. But I don't go to a wedding couple say, hey, you should hire me because I'm a three-time Hall of Fame, three-time Aliw Awardee and Hall of Famer. No, you prove yourself every time that you're out there, right? You're not relying on these awards to get you there. And these awards can actually be a stumbling block for me to get more awards because I won't expect people to come to me because I have this award. No, that just tells you that's just your proving point, lang. That just gets you a step ahead. But you got to prove yourself every time. And when it comes to business, recently I've worked with a company called Filipino Homes, which is the largest real estate marketing company here in the Philippines. I'm helping them build their business in Luzon. And it's very, I've had to humble myself to understand how they run the business, how they run the system. But because of that one, I learned so much more. I became an even better entrepreneur within a short span of time. So a shout out to Boss Tono Terrio Filipinos if you're listening here right now. And also people, if you want to do some Laway capital, you want to do business from home. Mirza, right now I'm off. I do this business for Filipino Homes. We help. If you lost your job, if you're work from home and you need a job, come over, send me a message. Filipino Homes, we help market real estate properties to OFWs abroad through Facebook marketing because many OFWs ganda, di ba? Michi, di ba? You promote right here and there, di ba? Filipino Homes is a really great. We were helping a lot of Filipinos do work from home. At the same time, we're helping a lot of OFWs find their ideal homes here in the Philippines. So if you want to go there, that's all Laway capital and Facebook capital, posting capital. It can be done. Not everything has to be done where you put money out to be an entrepreneur.
We'll put all the links in the comments below after the program. Another thing that you like to push also is the sense of purpose and the sense of helping fellow Pinoys. I mean, more than just coming up with an amazing product, you also always push for that. Why is that so?
No, I think that was really what was built into me as an entrepreneur and from my family. It's something that was really built. When you do a business, it should be meaningful and relevant for people to come on board. So you're helping people at the same time, and especially for millennials and zillennials. During our time, people used to say, tayo mga Gen X, di ba? When you buy a product, it's okay to buy. You just buy a product, right? But for these younger ones, when they make that purchase decision, sometimes they make it a purchase because even with what little purchase they make, they're able to change the world, diba? So they buy with a purpose nowadays. So let's say, for example, why eat in Mercato versus a fast food chain, right? You go eat in Mercato because for every purchase that you make in Mercato, you're helping a small food vendor achieve their dreams. So that way, if you're able to create a meaningfulness and relevance, it's not only good for you, but I mean, it's actually good for business nowadays because our millennials and our zillennials are actually buying based on products which can deliver on meaningfulness and relevance. And what's the best way? Through advocacy. The reason I'm doing Filipino Homes is because I'm helping many small food businesses. The Filipino Homes is because we're helping many real estate people who lost jobs to create jobs again online, and they don't have to leave the house. And they're selling properties to OFWs who need affordable homes here in the Philippines. I'm doing EnterPH because it helps create more jobs in the Philippines. When people outsource to the Philippines, it gives more jobs for Pinoys over here. I do Mercato Centrale because I'm helping small food vendors thrive and helping them achieve their dreams. I'm doing Easy Franchise the same way because there are many OFWs, when they come back home, wala na yung pera nila, di ba? Because it's been used misused by their relatives. So they'd rather have a business to come home to here in the Philippines. And we have professional managers who can run those businesses for them while they're abroad. So all these different things come into play for me when it comes to doing business. Parang it's part of the DNA for me when it comes to doing business, that am I helping somebody or am I not helping somebody by way of doing business?
Right. And how do you keep not just your entrepreneurial muscle, but your mind so sharp. It seems that all you do is like think of ideas one after the other.
I
Any
think that,
tips on how we can all be like you?
well, the thing is, me, it's really the exposure to good mentors. Every day I'm talking to Jose Magsaysay, who is our co-owner of Mercato Central, and we actually have our brain trust, our Mercado directors were my wife's professors in the Ateneo Center for Entrepreneurship. So Professor Andy Ferreria, who's the head of the Ateneo Center for Entrepreneurship, Professor Jay Bernardo, really great ideas because every time they push my thinking. I also work a lot with ipa-plug ko na sila, my other partner, David Almirol of Multisys. He's helped me think from a tech, he's helping me think tech naman this time around. So I get a better appreciation of how tech industries think, and I've been able to apply that as well. I also work a lot with Ton Luterio, the founder of Filipino Homes. He's helped teaching me about systems and networks of how to build them and how to create traction and loyalty. So, it's really that one. And, almost every day I'm online on a webinar. People don't realize, but I do all this hosting. They go, what do you get out of it? You know how much I learn from these hostings, from all these people I speak to every time. I gain so much from talking to so many different entrepreneurs, and it just becomes part of the stock knowledge. And then you kind of just flip that around and use that knowledge for your own business. So really, that's where it comes from. And you really have to have a hunger for doing these businesses and for learning. I mean, I've got all my entrep books here. Haven't had the time to read most of them, but because of my exposure to all these entrepreneurs, you become sharper and sharper when it comes to thinking of ideas. And I'm very glad because I have my wife, because I'm good at the innovation part and entrepreneurship part, but she's very good at the operationalize, the finance part. So, it's a good combination. Sometimes it ends in a lot of friction, but in the end, we realize it makes a good combination.
Right. So you have to surround yourself with not just like-minded people, but maybe people who are already there and from whom you can learn.
Exactly. I guess that's really the biggest thing for me. I've learned from so many people, and because I've learned so much, and there are people listening to me right now, my friends from GoNegosyo and all those. You've learned so much. It's time to always give back, and that's what GoNegosyo has been about. It's been about giving back here as well. I'm so glad that I actually became an entrepreneur in the first place because of GoNegosyo. And now I'm just giving back. I learned to become an entrepreneur because of that one.
And we're so lucky that that's where you're at right now. So viewers, please follow RJ's advice. Compile your irritations. Every day we are irritated and ranting on Facebook. Put them all in a notebook, and maybe these can become pain points that you can turn into inspiration, from which you can probably incubate your next big idea.
Exactly.
Right, RJ?
Let me just take a picture of us, Mirza. Wala pang picture.
Okay.
There we go. Thanks so much. So thanks to everybody for listening. I really appreciate that you gave us time.
Thank you so much. Such an educational and inspirational masterclass and pep talk of sorts. Thank you for helping us see all the possibilities, no matter how bleak things might get. So.
And again, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be a food entrepreneur, you want us to help you out, please let me know on Mercato Central. If you want to help me, if you're looking for a work from home job, part-time, full-time, and you're good with Facebook and you're willing to put in the effort, I'd love to have you also on my Filipino Homes team. We're helping build the Luzon business. Just send me a message online. I'd love to help you guys out as well.
Right. Thank you so much, RJ.
Thanks, Mirza. Thanks.
All right. Bye.
God bless everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. This has been Ask Ms. Mears, and I'll see you soon.